Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So I made a post on the YouTube channel the other day just saying that hey, I was probably going to talk to you guys a little bit and kind of just, update you guys on how things are going. And at the same time, I also asked you folks to ask questions if you had any. Did get a couple, so let me go ahead and answer those first as a bit of a warm-up here. Metal Snake asked, my question is, how do you find people to make music with? I've got the chops and the gear. Well, first off, I'm glad you do have the chops and the gear, but honestly, in a lot of cases, that's not all that important. Finding people, like you're asking about, really is the important part. I know that I found the band that I'm still currently in, and those folks, I found them through Craigslist. I don't know if that's still a thing, I imagine it is, but people literally post up on Craigslist looking for people to jam with and trying to start projects and stuff. I saw a few viable options on that Craigslist page. That was when I was in Maryland. I haven't even looked around here because, as we're about to discuss, I don't really have time, sadly. But yeah, try Craigslist. I know I found my vocalists, not that I jam with him or anything, but he writes for me and we've collaborated on a number of projects. I just made a YouTube video about it and Alex hit me up and it's been great ever since. Akram Fakri asked if I'm going to teach my child the way of the gent or the chug. If he's interested, I hope he is, and also would certainly be convenient if he was left-handed, so we'll see how that goes. And Kevin Featherstone mentioned a Synergy rig with Helix. Not really sure where to go with that one. I mean, I enjoy both of those products. They could be used together in some way, maybe use the Helix for effects, but I don't really use that many effects, so I'm not really sure how I would implement that for real. Also, I don't have a Helix or any Synergy products right now because my Synergy, the rack mounted part where you insert the modules, that died on me, so I just went ahead and just sold all my modules instead of trying to get that fixed right now. Once again, because I don't have as much time as I used to. But let's go ahead and get into this. So as some of you have probably seen, I'll be showing on the screen here hopefully, I just recently attended a Monuments concert, and man, it was awesome. Super awesome. I don't get to see live music as much as I would like to. I grew up in a pretty small town in Virginia, and I just wasn't really able to be a part of the live music thing. And it wasn't until I went to, I think I saw, so the first concert of this kind that I saw that was actually super important to me, I'm pretty sure it was Veil of Maya and Animals as Leaders were on it, and that was really cool. I think I saw them in Richmond or DC, don't really remember, but that was an awesome show. Talked to Marco Kubo and everything afterwards. So yeah, when I saw that Monuments were performing in Austin, of course I jumped on that opportunity, and then shortly after that I saw, well, not shortly, the day of the concert, I realized that they were selling VIP access tickets where you could come in, meet the band, talk to everybody, get a exclusive shirt. Apparently the shirt is only for like the VIP members that pay for the VIP tickets to talk to them and everything. Super cool. And it was nice. I got the opportunity to watch them do a sound check, which I'll probably put some of that here. That was super cool and got to talk to everybody. Primarily, I mean, y'all know me, Browne is my favorite guitar player, so it was awesome to, talk to him a little bit. Came to light that they were all a little bit shaken up that day because of a pretty serious incident that had happened literally the night before. Apparently one of the members of their tour, I'm not sure what his role is, but someone that helps them on the tour, he got shot in Dallas the night before, which is wild to me. And talk about being a little bit embarrassed for, okay, this band, my favorite band from the UK, comes over to freaking America, and what happens on freaking within a couple of weeks of being here, somebody gets shot. Mildly embarrassing. But he's okay. I'm glad that he's okay. And yeah, I don't hold anything against the band. Freaking Andy was a little sick. And yeah, like I said, of course, they were all pretty anxious after just experiencing somebody that close to them get shot like that. It's wild. But all that said, they were pretty upfront about it. Like, hey, we're probably gonna be a little bit off here. We're kind of still dealing with this. It was still awesome. Everybody had a pretty good time, I think. And yeah, it was just super cool to see them sound check and everything. And like, it was like Browne, their bassist, their touring bassist, since Swanee couldn't come, Werner, and Mike basically just played to like the 5 or 6 of us that were there for VIP, and that was super cool. But yeah, so I've also been, you know, learning to do this fatherhood thing and watching my baby grow up super quickly. It's wild how fast they grow. He just turned 3 months the other day, and it's super awesome. But that said, it's like, okay, I've of course not had quite as much time as I would like to devote to, you know, the channel, to music, and to even like band stuff. If I were to look at joining another project somewhere, you know, nearby, I will say that like going to the Monuments concert, it's so interesting. There were a bunch of like probably 3 or 4 bands prior to Monuments, and it was like, man, outside of like one guy who was, you know, really doing all this shreddy stuff that I used to want to do, now I'm not really super interested in. I totally could have jumped in as a guitar player for any of those bands up there, and they all sounded pretty great. It's like, yeah, I have all these chops and all this gear and stuff and really enjoy playing. It's like, I know I can jump into the vast majority of, you know, local bands and everything and play guitar for them if I had the time and desire to learn their guitar parts and or write music for them and stuff. But yeah, just being in that environment of watching Monuments live, there was so much energy, and it just really truly made me miss playing live. My last time playing live was in DC with the band that I'm technically still currently in right now, and it was really cool. Like, it's just, there's a energy and a feeling that you just can't get otherwise. And this channel kind of helps me vent a little bit of that, because I get to, you know, show you guys cool guitar gear at the same time I'm playing, but at the same time I'm also not playing with other musicians and playing to a live audience. But there's that. But yeah, just kind of also touching on the Monuments thing and meeting Browne again. It was really cool because like he knew me, so I bought the VIP tickets the day of the concert, and apparently I bought them a little bit too late to receive the email that was supposed to tell us where we were supposed to go. And I mentioned that in the Riff Hard group, which obviously I'm in, and Browne actually messaged me directly and said, hey, I think you missed the email, just come on over now. I was like, Jesus. My favorite guitar player just sent me a message. And then it's like, he knew who I was. So I also mentioned in the KSR group, I was probably going to bring my Series and my Vesta to hopefully see Browne play through them. I'm a big fan of his YouTube channel, and I've been pretty surprised to not see anything KSR on that channel. I know how that works, like between artists and products and everything. There's like, tends to be like money flow and, hey, you want to demo this for us? Or hey, can we send you this and all that? I get it. I don't really deal with that too much, although Joyo just sent me a pretty cool pedal here. Don't know if I could talk about it yet, but it sounds really good. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so I mentioned to Kyle that I was going to bring both my Series and Vesta over there, and he was like, hey, cool. I messaged him as well, so, and he does know who you are. So Kyle was the first person to say, hey, Browne is at least aware of you. But then we get to the venue, and I'm kind of, you know, talking to Browne. I like kind of slinked on to the back, started to do my introvert thing a little bit, had a couple of drinks and everything. Browne just walked up around the bar behind me, and we started talking. And he said, yeah, I noticed you got the Sig X recently. I haven't even done a video on this yet. And we just, you know, talked gear a little bit. And I think it was at that moment where I realized I'd originally just wanted Browne to like use those 2 pedals to like mess with them at sound check. Didn't seem like there was really gonna be time for that. So in my mind, that's pretty much where I decided, hey, I'll just pass them to him. Whether I'll ask him to ship them back to me or whatever, didn't really matter. I would just really like for him to experience the KSR stuff and see how he feels about it. And part of me is like, this might be a little interesting because we have certain differences in our taste for our gear. because I love the Helix. I love it a lot. I think also agree that the Badonk is one of the coolest digital models ever. But he has this thing where he's not the hugest fan of the Axe FX. Whereas me personally, as a longtime Helix owner, when I started to play Axe FX, I was like, ooh, Axe FX. I think I prefer the Axe FX here. Whereas he's still, to my knowledge, he still has this thing where it's like there's something in the tone that he can't quite, you know, dial around. It's just there. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. And so as I left him with those pedals, I tried to articulate the fact that, hey, I think that the Series and the Vesta are by far the best pedal, like preamp pedals out there, like period. I do think that my Artemis is my favorite amp and the best amp I've ever played as well. But the difference between, you know, the KSR pedals and other pedals of their type is like massive. Whereas the Artemis, yeah, it's the best amp, but it's like, it's probably arguable to some people, not to me, but some people I can definitely see how there are arguments. Whereas I think that pretty much objectively, preamp pedals are only maybe just now starting to kind of catch up to what the Series and Vesta are doing. And I think that's awesome. But yeah, I felt good giving Browne those pedals. I gave them to him. I'm like, hey man, no string attached. Here you go. Take these. I hope you enjoy them. I would love to see you do a video or two on these pedals. I felt good about doing that for a couple of reasons. First off, as y'all notice, it's not like I'm playing those pedals in every video. Fact is, as awesome as they sound, I will never use the Series of Vesta over my Artemis. I highly recommend that if you're able to do so, buy one of the top tier KSR amps, the Colossus, the Gemini, Artemis, or Juno if that's your thing. The Artemis and the Gemini, I just couldn't imagine needing anything else. More and more, I've been leaning towards, I'm just gonna sell all of this and just keep my Artemis and I'll be good. Of course, that'll be after I did, you know, a bunch of videos on everything here for you guys. So with that said, let's talk gear and upcoming videos and all that stuff real quick. So, as I mentioned, and as you can see, I did pick up a Fryette Sig X. I still have the Deliverance down there too, but it's probably gonna be, it's probably lost its spot in my lineup here. That might be, I'm probably gonna do a video directly on the Sig X this weekend. I would like to also do a video comparing the Sig X and the Deliverance. So I had heard somebody say that the Sig X and the Deliverance are pretty similar. And to my testing so far, I definitely agree with that. The Sig X is definitely a little bit more sophisticated of an amp. It seems a little bit more modern. So like I had to plug my torpedo captor up there as a attenuator for the Deliverance to kind of get it into, excuse me, bedroom volumes, a comfortable bedroom volume. Not so on the Sig X. Sig X has a much nicer master volume, more so in line with the Pitbull and my KSR. And also just mentioning the Pitbull, obviously the Pitbull is gone. I found that I preferred the Deliverance over the Pitbull personally, but I can understand why the Pitbull is so legendary. I felt like the Pitbull was more comparable to something like my Artemis, but I didn't think it did those things quite as well as the Artemis. But you gotta look at the age difference in those amps too. I'm pretty sure the Pitbull came out in the 90s, don't quote me, but it definitely came out before the Artemis was a thing. And yeah, so for them to be comparable, I can understand why people are like, oh man, this amp is ridiculous. And it is, but just for what it costs and for what I could get for it selling it, it wasn't worth me keeping it and having the Artemis here. Now, like I said, I think the Sig X is replacing the Deliverance for me, and I'm looking forward to comparing them and kind of seeing what differences there are there. My Leviathan here is pending a sale to Truck Driver Sean, if y'all know him. We kind of moved through the same Facebook gear circles and stuff. He always seemed like a pretty cool guy. I hadn't really like gotten to know him or anything, but we're gonna see how that goes. And I'm also going to give another chance here to the Driftwood Darkest Nightmare. But as of right now, if any of you are looking to buy one and want the lowest price on one, send me a message. My email will be down in the description if you're actually interested in buying it. I could probably send it your way. I don't dislike the amp, but it just, for instance, I'm excited right now to plug into the Sig X and play it. And it's not just because it's new, it's because, hey, I really, really like the way this amp sounds. And I'm looking forward to digging into it and seeing what else I can pull out of it. The Darkest Nightmare, it feels like I've kind of experimented with everything that it has to offer. It's a pretty simple amp, you know, and some people prefer simple. Honestly, the Deliverance was one of my favorite amps for a little while, and that's a very simple amp. But at the same time, you know, it also has the dual gains, so there is something to really play with and experiment with. I feel like there's not too much to experiment with for the Darkest Nightmare in terms of what I want to go for, and it didn't like blow me out of the water where I'm like, oh man, I want to play this amp some more. That said, I do want to go ahead and play it some more, compare it to some things, and see maybe by comparing it to some of these other amps, I can better understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling for it. A video I'm definitely going to do with it is to compare the 5150 Iconic and the Darkest Nightmare, see what that ends up looking like. Because honestly, like, I mean, I really enjoyed the 5150 Iconic. I only have 4 spots on my freaking amp switcher here. Obviously the Artemis stays. One of them is for the KSR Power Amp 50, which I have the Axe Effects running through, or a preamp pedals. So that leaves 2 spots for additional amps. The CX is going to be on one now, so that kind of leaves 1 more for, you know, whatever the 4th amp will be. Which for right now, in terms of like amps that I'm planning to keep and actually actively use, that's the Skill 30. I plan to keep the 5150 Iconic just because it seems to make sense as something to keep for comparisons with other amps. It's definitely one of the best amps around that price range. I do want to try a PRS Archon 50 and see how I feel about that. But this amp, if I remember correctly, it was $700 for a little bit. Now I think it's $1,000. Either $700 or $800. Don't get me wrong. Don't quote me on that. I think it might have been $800 when it first came out, which that's ridiculous. But obviously, inflation and everything is what it is, so I understand. But that amp is pretty safe for right now. Actively, the amps I'm trying to sell are the Darkest Nightmare, the Cherry Tone Leviathan, like I said, that's pending sale, and the Friat Deliverance 60, I believe. So if you're interested in any of those amps, feel free to shoot me an email or an offer on Reverb. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, I'd rather sell it off of Reverb because Reverb's fees are kind of stupid. So if you want an even better price than what I have listed on Reverb, always feel free to email me. I'm quite likely to give good prices to the folks who watch this video. Watch this channel. But yeah, that said, I'm super pumped about playing guitar in general right now. I wish I was playing live, but at the same time, it's like, hey, writing. I feel like I feel a writing mode coming on too. I want to finish some songs and get them over to Alex and maybe a couple other people I would like to collaborate with. We'll see on that. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I wish I had a little bit more time to do more videos. That period when I was doing a video a day, that was super cool. That's when the channel experienced a whole lot of growth. That was really fun to do, but that's obviously just not where we are right now. It'd be like that. But hey guys, I appreciate you all. If you're still here, I really, truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you for, you know, the support and just being around, and know that, hey, I'm here for you too. So you guys take care. Goodbye.